Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is Lessons for Full Spectrum Humans, end of 2018, first semester. This is the wrap-up summation of the first half of 2018. Don't panic, especially if you have just enrolled or just climbed on board, just gotten on board the lasagna ship as we fly through time, space, and consciousness, because I'm about to restart the teaching cycle. So what I'm going to do today, right here, level 1 and level 2, I'm going to do a summation of everything that we've spoken about from January till now. Like, we've done this beautiful arc of understanding, and we've put together various different, we could call it like riffs or melodies. That fits together with, and then what happens if we play them both at the same time? I hope that's not too loud for everyone. Yeah, I think that might have been a little bit too loud. Hold on a sec. That was feedback. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that. That's why I ask for everyone to be muted. Not because I don't love you. If you have anything to say and you're here, just unmute yourself and say whatever you need to say and then remute. So that's just technology acting up. Hold on a sec. So if you are, if you're watching the archive and you are an enrolled participant, like someone who might be on Teachable or Patreon or something like that, and you have preferences about which day of the week you would like to have the next semester, please message me, email me, or let your voice be heard. This is the call for all of that. If you're just but if you are a YouTube subscriber and you're not formally enrolled, I also, the classes are recorded and you can access them anytime. So this relates more to anybody who really wants to be able to be here, be in the chat, be on the video, and have a back and forth and have any questions. So yeah, I'm open to scheduling it at a good time that is good for everyone. So what I'm going to do right now is begin from the beginning and take it all through. And I'm going to go fast, and don't worry if not everything sinks in, both sink like synchronize and sink like water sinking into the ground. If not everything sinks in perfectly, don't be concerned. But the reason I really feel it's like this. When I first start to talk about flying rainbow lasagna, I understand that it's kind of like, how does that information even get in? Like, what's the context? How do I understand this? And then a person who's been on the journey for a while starts to become more familiarized with my vocabulary, my method of presentation, and the ideas that I'm presenting. And it's cumulative knowledge. Just like when you're doing, exercise or muscle building, it's cumulative. The first time you do it, it's harder. The next time it's easier. The next time it's easier. Or learning something on a piano. So today, I suggest that what we do is take the song, take it through from the, come on, Ben, let's take it through from the top, everyone, and go through all the basic ideas of level 1, and then basic ideas of level 2. So the basic ideas of level 1 are, what is this shape? How is it formed? What does it represent? And then how do we transform this? How does this relate to flying rainbow lasagna? And then level 2, what are the things that we can do with flying rainbow lasagna? And as I said in the Facebook intro, and I've said it other times, I don't expect anyone to pick it up instantaneously. It would be like if we gave you a violin and you were instantaneously a virtuoso. That would be really wonderful, but it actually takes years of effort and learning music theory and practicing and self-cultivation, which is like, I want it to be some kind of, whatever, lame-ass guru be like, oh, you don't have to do any work. Like, I just wave my magic wand and poof, and everything will be instantaneous. Like, well, sorry, guys. Actually, I put my shoulders down. You actually have to do work. But this is good. It's because it's fun work. It's the type of work like when I do a painting or if I'm learning a piano or something like that. There you go. I will make a poll, Pedro. That sounds wonderful. Found me a link as to how to do a poll online. It's fun work, it's learning, and I think that it's incredibly gratifying when one masters these concepts and these techniques. So beginning with, okay, so if this is the first of whatever that you're watching, my name is Aurora, and I am a star person. I'm not from around here. I'm not the original inhabitant of this body. I came in 2001, and the genetic portal through which I came is this shape that I invented and created. Let's put some light on it, and that is called, oops, that's too much light, the flying rainbow lasagna. Lasagna because it is curly, like the curly edge of a lasagna noodle. And what relevance does this have to anybody in the whole entire world? The answer is, using this as a genetic placeholder, it is possible to rearrange the puzzle pieces of your DNA and also have a different experience of reality. In order to understand this shape better, it is first necessary to understand this shape. This shape is a torus, but it's actually a double torus. And the plural of torus is tori. So it's double tori. And what we have is one that is oriented at this angle, and then we have one at a 90-degree angle like this. All of these shapes that I'm showing you, this and this, they are all static, sculptural representations of moving shapes, something that moves through time. So none of these are, they're like frozen, but we understand that these are just, tools for me to be able to share things, that what's really going on is these are moving and they're not frozen. So how is this shape created? And also, big, crucial part of the melody of the song that we are learning here is the idea that this is the shape of time. So it is the shape of our time bodies, and it is also the shape of timelines in an abstract sense. Let's go to some pictures. Let's go to pictures. And I also have those animations set up for later on. Wait. Okay, wait. Hold on a second. I did the wrong thing. I want to cancel this. Let me bring up something else. I know, fiddling with technology, but I have my class lectures completely organized. My images are completely organized. Squinty, scrolly faces, I know. Scrolling to find an image of the chakras. Here, this is a good image. And let me do one more. Great. And now let me do the share screen. I move everything around. Good. Here. Wonderful. So I hope that you guys can see what I'm actually doing. And if someone could just say in the chat that they know that they can see these images that I'm bringing up, that would be very helpful. And it looks like Joelle has tuned in. It's good to see you, Joelle, and that you are saying, oh, thank you so much for your compliment on my dress. Cheeky's having a little nap because it's pretty hot out, so she gets all tired out in the hot, and we intentionally go for a long walk on webinar days. And I gave her a big giant chew toy, so she has chew-toyed, she has walked, she's done everything she needed to do. She's having a little nap. I'm sure she'll show up later. And I have like a little chair next to me because I'm on this kind of high stool up here, and she needs to have like a little jump launch pad. She's going to jump on up, I'm sure, when she makes her appearance. What I have over here are two images that I created. This one, let's get a notation here. Wait. How do I notate? Get a color that you guys can see. This one over here that I'm scribbling over in yellow is a scratch board. And then I did a little bit of augmentation on the computer to bring up the colors. And then this one that I'm now scribbling upon is a painting. And both of them depict the abstract energy field, that is toroidal, that surrounds and interpenetrates the physical or anthropomorphic form. The anthropomorphic form, this means human-shaped. Human-shaped, you got one head, you got two arms, you got two, like most people have the basic human shape of one head, two arms, and two legs. And so you can see this one has a figure in the center there, and then this one has a figure in the center here. And you can also, so these two images actually show slightly different variations of truth. In this one, we have one central convergence point at the center of this person. And that central convergence point, this is a big takeaway that we emphasize in this class. Hope you can see that on the camera. Central convergence point in the center of this sculpture is called the singularity. And that is the point where the fabric of space, time, and consciousness has been stretched to the point of infinity. So imagine I'm placing this big giant arrow here. That's like one of God's fingers. And another big giant arrow here. That is dimpling the fabric of space, time, and consciousness, which is a super stretchy fabric like, rubber or nylon or something like that. And we also have a force, God's giant finger, that comes in from this direction, and a force that comes in from this direction. And believe it or not, to your amazement, you might also know that there's one that sticks out towards the camera that I couldn't quite paint in this painting, but I just put that arrow in there. That big giant yellow arrow that I put, that's another one. So we've got 5. And then we've got one that sticks out behind this guy. It's another giant arrow, that's 6. So we've actually got this dimpled from 6 different directions. And when I go back to my face, I'll show you my white, super old white sculpture. When we go back, so you can see it a little bit better, of those 4 vortices that are created by that dimpling structure, that dimpling and the 2 implied vortices. all of the, so you see if there's a vortex here, look, it's like a spiral. It's like a tornado spiraling down into the sky. And there's another one spiraling down into this gal over here. And the whole point is, this is the medium that is spiraling, like your medium. Like I'm in a room that's filled with air. Air is the medium, or the medium of air is what keeps planes aloft, or the medium of water is what fish swim through. We are swimming through time. Here, the thing that surrounds us is time. So we need to begin to think of ourselves not as what the objective materialist view tells us, you're just like some goo inside of an epidermis and you're sitting inside of a room full of dead objects and there's a separation between you and the room. No, no, no. You are totally intimately connected to everything that is your context, that we are in this sea of time, ocean of consciousness, sea of time. And all of these areas that I'm highlighting and scribbling over, they represent possibilities and probabilities. So if I talk about what is a possibilities versus probabilities, first I'm going to draw my little customary, oh, that's the worst line I've ever drawn. Hold on, guys. Maybe I'll do it over here on the right. Sometimes this little trackpad's a little bit hard to control. Oops, okay. So we start off with that baseline down there at the very bottom, and then you can see this curved line over here, that curved membrane. I'm just making it super exaggerated. Curved membrane right there, right there. We're doing a simplification, something that is curved and three-dimensional. We are now making like a slice, like a cutaway so that you can see what it is. And there are all of these timelines that technically spiral upward. You can see I'm making a spiral curly timeline. But for ease of diagram, what I'm going to draw is that they all begin down here where that big yellow dot is, and they all move forward in the direction of this arrow. So all of these timelines, they all start at the bottom down here, and they all move upward, quote unquote, or forward through time. And this big fat yellow line in this drawing, this represents the membrane of death. And the membrane of death is a place of pure entropy or loss of energy. So what happens is we're supposed to circulate around in this area where I'm making the yellow scribble. That is the area of life, of having living energy, of having the capacity to move through time. And if you hit this membrane over here, then you die. It means that you can't go any further. You cannot continue moving through time. And our challenge as humans is that we have been genetically altered. This is part of lesson 18, but now this is, very commonly spoken about, the idea of having to endlessly circulate, kind of like that movie Groundhog's Day, endlessly circulating around through these various timelines until we finally come upon, let's get a different color, the timeline of success, like let's make it green. This wonderful giant green line that I'm highlighting there, that central core timeline. That's the timeline we were always supposed to be on. In the time before death was invented, that was the timeline that we only experienced. Hold on a second, I'm drinking. We did not experience any of the peripheral timelines that ended in death. This is another big takeaway. So here I'm drawing a green dot. This is now the top-down view. That's the green dot of that green line that I just drew. And now I'm drawing the outer periphery of that yellow, kind of like a bullseye. I know it's not a perfect circle. So yeah, this is cutaway over here, side view. And what I just drew was top-down view. And this is like an old-fashioned analog record, like that you would listen to Led Zeppelin or something like that. It's got a groove, and the groove spirals around from the outer edges in, until you finally hit that green dot. This is the way that humanity has been experiencing its flight through time since the genetic degradation. And what that means is that you have to experience all of the wrong notes on the piano. Like if here, let me move my little sculpture. If we want to play this note over here, beautiful note. But what if we don't know that that's the note we want to play? And we have to go through all of these other possible notes. This one, no, 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 not the right one, not the right one. And so we finally, through trial and error, try all of the wrong notes. There are 88 keys on the piano, so we try 87 wrong notes before we finally find out, oh, wait, oh my goodness, that was the note that I wanted all along. That's not what our life was supposed to be like. That is an aberration. That is a way of using this body that is not intentional. It's the hack of the human operating system. So what we're supposed to be able to do is to just go directly to that central core timeline that represents the thoughts, actions, beliefs, words that you speak, actions, I already said actions, things that you do, and characteristics, personality characteristics, who you are as a person. That's the real you. So when I say possibilities and probabilities, if this over here is a bundle of timelines, what you have are many different possibilities, I'll make little X's or something like that. These are all little things that can happen, these X's. And there's a statistical likelihood of how likely is it for you to experience a thing. Like, is there a 99% chance? Is there a 0% chance? Is there an 89% chance? In this drawing, there's a very, very great likelihood that some aspect of your life experience will fall in this outer periphery. There's tons, there's millions, there's trillions of timelines out there. There's a very statistical high probability of you experiencing those possibilities, and a very low statistical likelihood of you hitting that one tiny little possibility that leads you out of the wormhole, out of this level of existence, and into a higher, more exalted, more expanded level of experience. That is why I call this, central core timeline, I'm pointing with the big arrow over here, I call that the path of least likelihood. There is the least likely possibility that you will, of all of the possible timelines that you could possibly travel upon this timeline that leads to total health and vitality. You never have to die. Your personality is refined to only include your true self and no intrusive thoughts. Your body is basically like an Olympic athlete. You're a genius. You're a genius in the level of art and music. Like a Mozart, like a Picasso or a Van Gogh. Like you're the best possible version of you that you could possibly be. Wait, someone's saying something in the chat. Let me not. I want to respond. Wait. Let's see. Can I get to the chat? How come I can't do it? Hold on a sec. I know what I can do in order to read that. I have to read that when I get back. Hold on. Okay, I will respond to the chat. I can say it's hidden under something. I can't see. Oh, wait. Maybe I can move this thing. Good. That's what Joel is saying. First, Pedro said ascension timeline. Then Joel said, or better yet, inscension timeline. And I like that because we're talking about creating a dream where you are lucid within the dream. We're talking about creating a lucid reality. Like you are, I like to say, the auteur of your existence. This is what happens when we are able to flying rainbow lasagna. You can write the story of your life because all of these timelines, everything that I'm scribbling over here, they represent possible events, possible combinations of events, possible edifices of reality that you can occupy. Now we can go into, wait, Aurora, what makes us occupy one timeline as opposed to another? Why don't we all just jump directly to the wonderful path of least likelihood, our timeline of perfection? Why do we go through all this rigmarole? Why do we go through all this gobbledygook? Why was this created? And the answer is that, let me go back to my face and we'll do some answering. The answer is, first of all, another huge takeaway. Our DNA is not merely the blueprint for protein structure. Like, what are your earlobes shaped like? What are your eyebrows shaped like? The DNA and the dance, let me do a little dancing. The dance movements of our DNA, when it is in its natural behavioral form, is what causes our consciousness to jump from moment to moment. So I draw this sketch a lot too. So this is wrap up. We're doing all of the familiar things that I draw every week. Okay, let me go back to, here we'll go to whiteboard. Boom. And I'll draw this. The train cars of reality. Each one of these, imagine, is a box, like a train car. But now I'm just going to draw very simplified squares. Train car of reality. That each one of these boxes represents a moment. And a moment I would define as if this is the pie of time, what is the tiniest slice of pie that we can make and still define it as pie? What is the tiniest slice of time that we can make and still define it as time? That's one of these, a moment. And those moments are tied together by the whirling, twisting, jumping movement of our DNA. That this, drawing drawing springs of DNA here. That literally, let's draw a person inside of these little cubes so you understand what's going on here. Here's a person, that's you. You got legs and arms and everything. when we started this video conference, we were at like 3:15. Now it's 3:45. We have, for half an hour, we've been jumping through time. We've been jumping from that first body into this body. Then we jumped into this body. Then we jumped into this body, because all of our DNA is twisting and curling and furling and unfurling and then reweaving itself, because we are alive. Da, 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 da. We are alive. We define ourselves as alive because we breathe and we metabolize, we do all the things that science defined as being alive. I define being alive as occupying this area of the time field. See, I don't know if you can see where my pen is. Inside the vortex. Inside the vortex. That if you're over here in this football shape, you ain't alive. And if you're stuck on the membrane of death, you're definitely not alive. We are alive. We have physical bodies, and we do eating and pooping and breathing and all those things. And also our DNA dances. Your DNA is constantly doing stuff in that constant dance movement. It is like making music. We're sending off vibrations into the world. Literally, there are strings inside of your body that vibrate and send off music into the world, just like a guitar has strings that vibrate and send off music, or my piano is an electric piano, so it doesn't have actual strings. One day I would love to have my wish list to the cosmos, a real piano, with like real strings. But like there's lots of pianos that people give away for free, but they're just like total wrecks, and then they take a long time and you have to spend a lot of money to get them tuned. But I would love to have a piano with real strings. That would be really wonderful. Or any instrument, that I'm talking about, that has real, actual pieces of nylon or animal intestines that makes a vibration that vibrates the atmosphere. That is literally what each one of us is doing with the dance of our DNA. So on the one hand, your dancing DNA is making a tone, and the tone, as we move through time at one moment per moment, exactly the right rate through time, is a tone of love. Play a note. I don't know if you can hear that note. The tone of love. It's like, it's not necessarily a tone that you make with your physical vocal cords. It's what we do when we meditate. When we are in meditation, when we are embedded within the time field, moving at one moment per moment, we're not clinging to the past. We're not dragged down. That's what depression is. It's when one is dragged down by the emotional encumbrances of the past. And we're also not grasping at the future, which is what anxiety is. That is when the mind, which is a hacked operating system, instead of doing its job, endlessly grasps at the future at the worst possibilities. So instead of going for the central core timeline, where it's like everything is totally cool and you're totally happy and healthy, the anxious mind diverts the attention, literally your attention, which is like the needle on the record that makes the song play. Your attention gets diverted to the horrible possibilities, peripheral possibilities. Like if you're driving down the road, you're literally driving down the road on the highway. We should be all envisioning, I am going to my destination and I'm arriving safely. No one should be imagining while they're driving down the road, oh, maybe I'm going to crash into that car over there, or maybe I'm going to crash into that guardrail over there. No, that's not really you. Those thoughts are often intrusive thoughts that are implanted through the hacked genetic code by those pesky occupiers of the interstices. So everyone's an expert in this class, and you know exactly what I'm talking about, and new people are picking up very fast. There are consciousnesses that are literally stuck on the membrane of time. Those beings either never had a physical body or had a physical body so briefly that they only had enough time to die. Literally, that's what happens. When you die, you exit the time field. I'll get to your question. It means you played horrible music. Let's play some really horrible music, and I don't want to hurt your ears, but that is not good music. That is death. That is the music of death. And what these very not good musicians did was, first they got a bunch of human bodies, they invaded the planet, invaded the genome, got a bunch of human bodies, and played horrible music. And then they died. And they're like, we don't really care because we don't want your oily, stinking, greasy, pooping bodies anyway. We want to live on the membrane of death, and we want to get our energy from you guys. They farmed humanity. This is the horrible, nightmarish, horrendous recognition of the situation of lack of freedom. I want to say enslavement, but being caged, being constrained, being not free to travel the time field as you wish. You're supposed to be able to travel the time field as you want to. Go to the timelines that you want to. Play the songs on the record of you as you want to. You're not supposed to have to go through all of these peripheries where you die before you finally get to the right note where you get to stay alive. So that's the whole point, that invaders came to our planet transformed the physical body, transformed the consciousness, transformed the perception, and made it necessary to, through trial and error, try every single wrong possibility before you finally get to the right possibility. So on the plus side, I'm always looking on the positive. Ascension is inevitable. Reaching that central core timeline of perfection is inevitable. Means like, yeah, you're going to try 87 wrong keys. You know the last key is going to be right, but it just takes a long time. This is the hijacking of the time field. You're not supposed to have to go through all of that time that is erroneous. You're supposed to not have to waste your time. And that's what these beings feed off of. They feed off of that erroneous time. You're supposed to be able to use your higher faculties to see down the road of time, and then be able to use your steering wheel of consciousness to choose the timeline that you really want. I'm drinking more water because I'm running a marathon here. And then get to that question. Joelle says, there are definitely times. Oh, wait. Question from Salu. Where is the central core timeline positioned within us? It's not it's okay. If I go to this whiteboard, I understand why you're asking this question. Let's go to this whiteboard. Here, I know why you're asking this question, because I hope you guys can see these images properly. Let's get a color that you can see. You're thinking, hey, maybe it's this yellow line that I'm drawing that kind of goes up and down your body like a spine like that. It is not a location in space. The central core timeline is not a location in space. Unless we were to draw every single one of, these are all cells of your body. Every single one of those cells of your body has a little dot at the center of it. I'm making little tiny dots that you can see. And let's draw the atoms of your body. You have billions, trillions of atoms. These are all atoms. Every single one of your atoms has a dot at the center of it. So in order for you to embody that central core timeline, it doesn't mean that you have to have something going like, up one nostril or, in one eyeball. Not like that at all. It means that you are focused on the singularity that is not only within all of the energy centers or chakras of your body. P.S. Chakra just means spinning wheel of energy, and what is a wheel that is spinning, of spinning time. Like when you see a tornado, it's made out of air that is spinning around. When you see a water spout, the water is spinning around. These shapes, what is spinning around is time. So the core timeline that we want to occupy, we can't, if I said like point to it in the room, I couldn't point to it in the room. It's not over there. It's not over there. It's not over here. We can't cut you open and look at where it is, unless we were to look at the nucleus of every cell of your body. If we were to look at the center of every atom of your body and the center of each one of the chakras of your body. So wait. Yes. So when we're talking about alignment of the chakras, what we're talking about is they are like water wheels or interlocking gears that are supposed to be perfectly aligned, but because of the genetic malformations are askew. So we can think of your needle of awareness as always being oriented like this, but it's actually your chakras that are sometimes askew. Look, if we're going in this trajectory, we're going to hit that membrane of death. Closer to the camera. Look, oh, now I just died. I hit the membrane of death. So what has to happen is we have to tilt this. Oh, did I tilt it enough? Oh, no, I hit the membrane of death. Try again, everyone. New thoughts and ideas and actions. Oh, did I tilt it enough? I think I did. I think I avoided the membrane of death, and I flew back home, because this central point of convergence over here, this convergence point, it's called the singularity, not the transhumanist singularity. And I'm always really clear to state that in every video, because I'm not a transhumanist, even though I have a relationship with technology. Yeah, I don't believe you should eat microchips for breakfast, or that you should do anything artificial to your body, or that it's necessary to use anything artificial to augment your natural telepathy or reawaken your higher faculties, including molecules, like including hallucinogens. The more that I talk with people and I find out about their experiences under ayahuasca and LSD and other things like that, I don't take them. I have epilepsy and I'm having to protect my brain. I take CBD medicine in order to help my brain and to harmonize my brain waves. But you can take as much CBD medicine as you want to, and you're not going to be, tripping. You're not going to feel like you're having a psychedelic experience with Jimi Hendrix or anything like that. And I'm not judgmental about changing mental state. I recognize many people feel that they're in a trapped mental hell, so they'll drink cough syrup or whatever they can to try to get out of it. I'm noticing a lot of people who do expose themselves to certain molecules, they get entity attachment. What that means is something else helps them to open their eye and then also feeds them a lot of garbage. It's like, oh, great. Now it's like not the real librarian. What we're supposed to have is a relationship of our higher faculties, your ability to see and your ability to be guided. That's what your highest level chakra does. Go to the picture. Let's go to the videotape. Go to the picture. Share the screen. This will show you right over here, and I think you can see it very well. Get a color. This is the orientation of your violet chakra. You can see it right over here also, and that is like the blades on a helicopter. It is also the higher dimensional teacher, like the librarian. If you have a library card, that's like being able to see through your third eye. Oh, look, I can see through my third eye. I can look down the road of time. I can see what's going to happen in the future. I can sense multidimensionally. I can see anthropomorphically, like understanding people's events and motivations and emotions. And this whirling energy source is actually supposed to direct you. Like, oh, are you looking over in that direction or straight ahead or over here in this direction? And it's supposed to tell you which road to drive down. And that if we are not connected to that highest vibration, highest frequency, highest level of wisdom or intelligent aspect of self, then it is very dangerous, because you can all of a sudden start seeing all sorts of crazy crap and make your presumptions about what is actually happening in reality based on erroneous presumptions. So it's like if I have a book, this is a book, and I say it's got 100 pages. And instead of reading the book like first page 1, 2, 3, 4, how boring. How about we read page 6 first? And then read a tiny little bit from page 23, and then read page 81, and then skip back to page 1. That is a way of mixing up the information to the point that it almost becomes nonsense. And what we need to do is have that higher guidance. And higher doesn't mean like an embodied person. It's not like Lord Jesus, Lord Krishna, Lord anyone. No brand names. You don't have to have a brand name deity that tells you, you need to look over here. You need to look over here. It's all you. This another big takeaway of all of this. All you. You're kissing yourself in the mirror. When we circulate up from these lower levels and get refined into these higher levels, what we are doing is having that moment of realization where we recognize, I am God. That is that moment when you make it through the wormhole, avoiding the curved membranes of death. You reconnect with the source that is the emanator of our consciousness and also our destination to which we return. We make like a circuit coming out from the source and then coming into physical reality and then going back to the source and being like, whew, like, honey, I just got home. You'll never guess the day I had. Like, that's what it's like when we reconnect to the source and recognize, wait a minute, I am God. And not just Aurora is God. Every single organism is God. Every single molecule, every single mineral, every single plant, every single microbe, everything is having this wonderful realization that I am God. And that moment when we all do it together is like playing music together. When you got all the instruments, all the musicians grooving, you have a tight band, and that's called, divinity. So that's what we're supposed to be experiencing. And wait. Let me get to more questions. Pedro wanted to say, is it okay to prepare for the worst but hope for the best? What I'm talking about with this is abstraction and abstract perception. And there's a huge difference between abstract perception and applying it to the anthropomorphic realm. So basically, we have all of these different possibilities. Every time you get in your car, you have the possibility of crashing into the guardrail, or your car explodes, or whatever, space debris falls and you get hit by a meteor or something like that. That's always a possibility. But what determines that? Like, people have actually been hit on the head with meteors falling from the sky. What made them be on that timeline when they woke up in the morning? Why didn't they be on a regular, more mundane timeline, or maybe one that was more in alignment with their central core possibility, where they didn't get struck by a meteorite, or where they didn't have a horrible car accident? So a person who's following this class, and I don't know if she's formally enrolled, but she's in the class, and she wrote me after an experience she had on the highway where literally she saw another car verging into her lane, and they were going to have a collision, and she's flying rainbow lasagna, which means basically rearranging time. She rearranged time, and she saw the other car like kind of overlap, move through the left side of her car, but not impact her, and all of a sudden she found herself in a different lane over here, perfectly safe. Jumped timelines. This is what we're talking about. Your awareness is like the needle on the record. that is playing the song of your life. And if you don't think that song is very groovy because you're about to be smashed up on the highway, you can jump to a different song. And, you know, because now everybody has DVDs and CDs or whatever, but that's what it used to be like. Like, you have the record on the record player, and even though you don't really like that song, it's like, oh, we have to go through that song before we can get to the song we really want to listen to. No, you don't have to. Flying Rainbow Lasagna means you can actually lift up the needle off the record into a different dimension and then place that needle down again in the timeline, in the place where you actually want to be experiencing it. Wait. Okay, so the answer is, yes. I mean, I don't know how you prepare for the worst. Like, we walk each day recognizing that death is on the sidelines, that we could experience it at every moment. However, I am always focused on the central portion of the timelines where I don't die. And it's an act of willpower. We are engaging our willpower and our attention in order to do this. Joelle says, there are definitely times where I've had thoughts like that while on the road. Good. Thoughts of running off the road or hitting oncoming traffic or driving off a cliff. They're all demons on the interstices trying to catch you, kind of take you prisoner. Be like, yeah, come into the realm of death with me. And because I caused it, you can be like my little protege. It's how they get new recruits into death. And she says, and I'm fighting all these thoughts and wondering where the heck they're coming from. So that's what I'm trying to say. Those pesky occupiers of the interstices, I call them that because that's like, let's not be too intimidated. They are horrible. They are horrible, not only losers, but malevolent losers. And they literally try to make people jerk their steering wheel to go off the car, drive off a cliff, or tell people you've got cancer, you're very, very sick, you're going to die. Like any of these things, they'll try to mess you up in any possible way. They're not just some benign peanut gallery that you're just like, oh, ha, 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 just the peanut gallery. No, they're actually horrible mind rapists that are malevolent and that have murderous intention. It doesn't get any worse than that. And it's difficult as an experiencer in the time realm to be like, oh yeah, there's those malevolent murderers talking to me again. Like, it's very unpleasant. It's a challenge to be this aware and also, you know, not be horribly depressed or stressed or anxious by it. The answer is there are things you can do in order to fight against them and exert your own willpower, because no one else should be driving down the road of time but you. This is you. This is your body, your cells, your opportunity, your needle on the record of the song of you. That's what your DNA is, and your DNA should be allowed to do the dance that you want to do. Salu says, makes a lot of sense. Thank you. I have another question. When the Kundalini is activated during the moment, does it signify central core timeline state living? So the question is the vocabulary word Kundalini. I often liken that to the spiral of energy that is getting into perfect alignment going up there. And I'm not totally familiar with the teachings of Kundalini yoga and what they say is happening versus what is actually happening. So because I don't know exactly what that vocabulary word is, but let's say yes, there is a feeling of energy rising up the spine, but it's not supposed to be something that only happens rarely or under certain sexual opportunities. It's supposed to be going on all the time. You're supposed to be constantly connected from the base of your spine all the way up to the top of your head to divine life force energy. And this whole idea of being disconnected throughout our whole life and then doing special breathing exercises and body positions in order to cultivate it and make it rise up your spine and make you get up to here is like very unnatural. It should be the most natural thing in the world that we live in that state of being. It is our birthright. So that's why I have not exactly sure how to answer that question, but I hope that was pretty good. Okay. Joelle says, that's the true event. That's right. The big E event. The moment we all realize we are God together. That's right. That's what the big E event is. Chloe says, that is bizarre. I've had the craziest thoughts while driving, and that makes so much sense. Oh yeah. I mean, I very sadly, the person survived, but I know someone who literally got in their car and had these intrusive thoughts that made them have a car accident that really busted them up a lot, and it took a long time for them to recover. Like, it can be really serious. It's not small. It's high stakes. It's not small potatoes. It's a high stakes game of beings that are really trying to kill you. They're really trying to, pardon my French, fuck you up. They're really trying to kill you and take your life and mess you up. And don't let them. Fight against them with everything that you have. Oh yeah, Jen says, is that somehow what addictions are? The occupiers. Yes. Thank you for your insight. That is very good playing with the band. Those pesky occupiers of the interstices, they are what we would define literally as demons or supernatural residues of consciousness. And they cannot eat their own love food. We run OS love. We eat food and poop it out. They can't do that. So, and they're also in a constant state of misery. Their life is like being a drug addict. Their life is like being addicted to cocaine or heroin or something like that, where they always need more, 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 except their cocaine, heroin, their white powder is the energy that humans emit. But they can't eat the beautiful love tone. They can't eat love tone. That's why when you meditate, they're trying to chomp. They're like, there's nothing to eat. I literally can't eat you because you're meditating, because you are perfectly in alignment with the time field. They can only really chomp when we falter, when we go askew, when we emit emotions that are like grief and sadness and anger and jealousy and rage. But I'm not trying to say it's not blame the victim stuff, because those beings programmed the tendency to emit anger, jealousy, grief, rage, etc., into the human body. And we need to respect those emotions. For example, anger is an emotion of pushing something away. If someone makes you angry and you're like, screw you, I'm rejecting you, I'm pushing you away, that might be very appropriate, because they might really be worthy of being pushed away. You shouldn't have to be like, no, I'm going to control my anger so that then they can keep screwing with you. No, 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 no. So anger can be sacred, can have a sacred purpose. And you got to understand that these guys, they tuned the genetic guitar that was perfectly tuned, twisted all the knobs so that all of a sudden the music doesn't sound that good, and that way they can have their food. They were supposed to be scavengers, but they've turned into farmers. They have totally no honor, and they'll always cry, poor me, it's not my fault, I have to eat this way. No, 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 no. Because since the invention of flying rainbow lasagna, everything can be rectified and everything can be healed. Okay. Yes, Chris says Kundalini connects you with reptilians. That is my caveat in using that word, because I've learned that the representation of the snake being coiled at the base of the spine and then rising up, that there's all this symbology in these different meditation schools, yoga schools, teaching schools, and very little of it is completely pure. That's why I would recommend to everyone, get your own telescope. Instead of getting someone else to look up in the night sky with their telescope and say, oh, this is what I see and this is what you should do, or get someone else to look through the windshield of your car while you're trying to drive down the road, get your own windshield. Look for yourself. That's why we have this higher faculty, is our birthright, that you're supposed to be able to look and investigate on your own and not take somebody else's word for it. So if you want to know what the energy is doing when it rises up your spine, look at your spine. Look at your own spine. And people are like, wait, how am I supposed to do that? That's easy. You've got a telescope microscope right here. It's called your attention, from Greek atenuos. It is a tendril that reaches out like an elephant's trunk. And anything that you touch on it, you learn about. So if you sent your elephant's trunk to, touch on your earlobe, you'd be like, oh, I just learned everything there is to know about earlobes wordlessly. So if you want to know about your own anatomy, about your own body, about the functioning of the human body, send your attention to it. That's how I made those pictures that I was just sharing with you. It's how I make all of my artwork. I didn't get it secondhand, I got it firsthand, and I would encourage everyone to cultivate their higher faculties and do all of this understanding through firsthand perception. I know I'm squinting and scrolling. Let me see. Okay. Pedro says, I meant if you can't jump timelines yet and you see a car swerving up ahead, you can take serious actions to avoid an accident. Definitely steer away from the accident, hit the brakes. One, you can jump, you can use the FRL to avoid them. Yeah, the person who FRL did so very spontaneously. So I would definitely say, use your brakes, use your mundane tools to avoid accidents. Don't just be like, I'm going to press the gas. Like this one lady, this is an anecdote. I don't know if this is truthful, but supposedly this one lady was just like, Jesus, take the wheel. And she literally took her hands off the wheel and had a horrible car accident. She hit a pedestrian and had to kind of explain in court like that. She was saying, Jesus, take the wheel. Not literally, okay? Not literally. So yes, please maintain your own mundane control over your vehicle. We're talking about how to navigate time, the time field, using your consciousness. That is what this person very successfully did in order to avoid destruction on the road. Salu says, yeah, by Kundalini, I meant the energy that is felt in the spinal cord, or whatever the technical term is. So yeah, I understand what you're talking about. And that's part of it. The chakras of the body do arrange or nest along the spinal column. Let's go back to a picture. Go into a picture. Yes, you can see that they do align. I don't know if you can see that gesture that I'm making. Get a color. They do align. All of their convergence points have places that, like parking spots, on your spinal column. However, that's not the only place where energy centers or chakras exist. Those are the ones that I've drawn are the main ones. There's literally one, a convergence point at the center of every cell. So that's like a way too complex drawing for me to possibly be able to make, but know that it's there. Pedro says, do we have to open the chakras in order, first the 7th for guidance and then the rest? I do not know what it means when people say open their chakras. To me, I don't understand, because I see vortices that are shaped like this, and I don't know what open or closed looks like. I see them shaped like this, and sometimes they're in alignment, sometimes they're not in alignment. Like this would be alignment, all of them are stacked up perfectly like this, and sometimes they're hinky-jinky. One's like this, one's like this, one's like this, one's like this. That's what I perceive in myself and in other people. I do not know what the New Age terminology means to open one's chakras. So that's my best answer on that. Salu says, the energy that goes up from the base of the spine is what I'm for. Yeah, it enables deeper states of awareness, deeper states of meditation. Okay, cool. Joel says, attention can work in tandem with intention. Attention, what we focus on, and intention, what we want to have happen with our willpower. Yes, have the intention to see the boss. Little wiggle butts, hi. Hi, I know it's so warm. She's not as wiggly as she usually is. Hi, sweetheart. Hi. Oh my goodness. She's like several notches less hummingbird-like than she usually is. Aw, cheeky. So Dog Boss is in the house. We got Cheeky over here, everyone. Yeah, wonderful. We love you, girl. We love you. Nice kisses. Okay. Pedro says, okay, replace open with align. Should it be done in order? Yes. When I do my singing, I begin with singing the lowest notes. I don't know if the Cheeky will let me. So starting at working from the general to the specific. Just like in an art project, what I do, first I do a rough sketch, very general, very general. So first we work with the largest frequencies, lowest vibration, lowest not meaning worst, but lower in tone. That's the physical world. We got solidified matter, and then moving into the higher frequencies until we move all the way up to the violet frequency up here, which is the one that is closest to the divine or the source of intelligence or the source of information. It's like the closest to the has lost the least amount in translation from the general to the specific. So that's, a very good practice. That's usually how I do it. And also what some people do is they'll work from the top down, but I think that you have to be cautious in that because sometimes they get all these insights, information from higher dimensional realms, but then don't necessarily connect it successfully all the way out into the material world. So it's actually, we're working in both directions. From the generalities of the material world and making a big giant circle here, upward into the more rarefied atmospheres of the higher dimensional, less dense realms. Oh my goodness! There's pollen in the air also. Maybe that's why she's so sleepy. And also from the higher dimensional realms, we get ideas that circulate down through the layers of our being until they manifest in our physical body in the form of movement or metabolism or thought or speech or artwork or, writing something. So it's important to make it go in both directions. Chris is saying about chakras to balance them, and I'm agreeing with that. And also, each one of us should be encrypted, meaning that just like I have on my computer a thumbprint, and no one else can go into my computer and pretend to be me or access my emails or do anything without my permission because I have it encrypted. Same thing with your DNA. So that means, you're going to jump down? Because it's hot. She's going to sit in her own little spot, maybe in front of a fan. Yes, what we're supposed to do is be the master of our own instrument and not have anything, anyone. And when I say thing, that means no government, no religion, no structure, no belief system structure that is telling you what to do other than you. You're supposed to tell you what to do. You're supposed to know exactly which notes you want to play. I think everybody actually knows which notes they want to play. You know what food you want to eat. You know what is comfortable with your body. You know what the things are you want to do in your life. And the real difficulties, the barriers have been, are you allowed to do this? So flying rainbow lasagna, and we're going to go into level 2 very, very soon. When I talk about this is like pushing and pulling the levers of the cosmos. This is what I do every day with my lasagna dance, because the basic takeaway is the dance of DNA is what makes our consciousness travel from one moment to another moment to another moment. If you can flying rainbow lasagna and transform the dance of your DNA, you can be in control of which moment you jump into. And as soon as you start to do that, you're going to be like, oh, I'm going to do the dance of my DNA. I'm going to rearrange the events on the membrane of death. And I'll get in level 2, I'll speak specifically about how we do this. All of these beings are going to come up and say, stop, don't wait, don't do that, don't pull away the curtain, don't see the man behind the curtain, don't push and pull that lever, don't push that button, don't try to be in control. There are all of these social control constructs that will pop up, like mommy and daddy will be so disappointed. The Pope wouldn't want you to do that. The President of the United States says you're not allowed, stop, go back, return, don't do it, on and on and on. And every time you have to be like, I'm going to do it anyway. Every time. It's just like giving yourself permission to sing, to play music, to paint a painting. There are all of these inner self-critical voices that try to constrain you and say, don't do it. Don't pick up that paintbrush. Like sit and watch TV, drink a beer, do something else. And what you have to do is be like, screw you. I'm going to do it anyway. So yeah, and it's not disrespectful to mommy and daddy or to ancestors. If you start to change and push and pull the levers of the cosmos and do your genetic dance in a new way, if they're like, wait, I thought you loved us. You're like, yeah, I love you, but I don't love your inborn genetic diseases. I don't love the generational trauma that you have passed down to me. Like, you know, if Africans came on a slave ship to this country, and if that was however many generations ago, however many hundreds of years ago, that is trauma that has been passed down through the genetic code to current people living today. And they might love their ancestors, but they don't have to love them in the point of carrying around that trauma. Or whatever genocide your particular race might have experienced. Guess what? Almost every single race, almost every single ethnicity has experienced some form of genocide. Like there's, you know, Armenian genocide, Native American or indigenous genocide on this continent and on other continents. African, there's Jewish diaspora and genocide. Everybody's been traumatized. Does that mean everybody should carry around that baggage forever? I want to say for effing ever. No, it does not. It means in this generation, because flying rainbow lasagna has been invented, you can rearrange your DNA and be free. The basic takeaway, and this is math talk, whenever you add an additional dimension, you add an additional degree of freedom. So this shape is like a certain number of dimensions. And when we add another dimension to it, it turns into this shape. That means when you become a flying rainbow lasagna, and everyone and anyone is invited to, and everyone has the potential to, it means that you gain an additional degree of freedom. There's more stuff you can do, more places you can go, more thoughts you can have, more actions and experiences and behaviors that you can experience. Just like if you were two-dimensional, there's a fly in here. If I make weird twitches, because I'm like batting a fly off of me. If you're a two-dimensional person, you can only live on the surface. Flat leaf, you're a little ant walking around, you don't have wings. If you're a three-dimensional person and you've gained an additional degree of freedom, you can jump off the surface of the flat leaf and you can fly around and then go to a different place. And for us, the flat leaf is the leaf of time. You wake up in the morning, you have your breakfast, then you have your lunch, then you have your dinner. And if you're a little ant, you can't jump directly to dinner. You have to walk directly all the way across the entire fabric of time. If you're a butterfly, what you can do is jump off the surface of the leaf and go from breakfast directly to dinner. You can go to dinner 12,000 years ago. You can go to dinner in 12,000 years. Or what you can do is fold that stretchy fabric of time, space, and consciousness so that going to dinner means you don't even have to move. You can be sitting in your chair. I can be sitting in my chair right here, and I'm connecting to 12,000 years ago. And I'm connecting to 12,000 years in the future, millions, however long you want to do it. That is the dance of flying rainbow lasagna, and I'm going to get into that in level 2. And that's pretty much what I do. I got my little dancing chair over here, and a wonderful member of this class made this. Let's see if we can turn my screen without screwing everything up. Can you see my chair? Made this wonderful rainbow replacement because I danced so vigorously one day, I literally broke the canvas of the chair that it came with. So she saw that and she was like, I will sew you a new one in the proper rainbow colors. So she's really wonderful that she did that. Joelle, this is wonderful. She says, working with the FRL has given me so many new dance moves. That's what it's all about. So look, society doesn't want wonderful, healthy, vital, empowered people. It wants sad, depressed, disempowered slaves who are easy to push around. And the more people that learn flying rainbow lasagna, the stronger our system, which is basically going against the artificial intelligence. When I talk about artificial intelligence, I'm referring to that ancient AI, not the terrestrial technosphere, but an artificial intelligence that was created before the fall of consciousness on this planet, before the genetic degradation here, that is a machine-based, I need to drink a lot because I'm running, machine-based intelligence that does not have creativity. And you and I, we have creativity. I wanted to flip my hair. We have creativity. We have imagination. If I scratch my face, I can make new cells. You know something? If I scratch my computer screen, it can't make a new screen. It's not like that. So we also, pointing to my womb down here, my tummy, yeah, we can make new babies. We can make new ideas, new skin cells, and new babies. We can do things that machine-based intelligence cannot do. The more of us that use our creative capacity and imagination to transform our own genetic structure, our own flight through time, and reweave our own timelines, the possibilities and probabilities of what you can actually experience, the more we say, F you to the horrible artificial intelligence that invaded and raped our planet, those many years ago, and has been essentially feeding off of our collective misery for so very, very long. So on that note, this is not everything, don't worry, but I just have to press pause so that my upload won't be too long. This is the end of level 1 recording. Stick with me, tune in for level 2, and I'm going to go into how exactly do we flying rainbow lasagna? What are we doing on a genetic level? What do the genetic dance steps look like? What does it mean in terms of the transformation of this shape and timelines and math and vortex-based math? All right, stick with me. This is only a brief pause. Thank you very much.